We're live on Twitch. The new era of podcast. Welcome everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Storm Chats. We're missing Xavier today. He's asleep. I don't know what else to say about that. But we have Andy K here with us today from the audio compound. So how are you doing, man? How's life been for you? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm solid. A lot of people probably don't know this, but I went came down and recorded with you with my last band, so me and you are pretty familiar with one another, which is cool, which is nice, which makes this not awkward. So, cause I feel like one of these days I'm gonna run into a guest and be like, man, I don't know what the fuck to say. For sure. So how I've talked to a few different guys that are like in bands doing recording or not recording. Sorry, they're doing music right now in general, and that's kind of different in the COVID era. Obviously, there's a lot of the live shows are taken out, etc. No interactions with your fans it's hard. How is it on the producer side of things? How is it down there at the audio compound for you guys? How different is it?
Just do make sure we were taking the measures and all that stuff. But aside from that, on the more business side of things, like I'll be honest, this has been my busiest year yet. This has been by far me and Andrew's busiest year yet. It's been crazy. We've been having to like offload work to people. We've been having to scramble around to get people in because everybody wants to get music done and get
Yeah,
it out. So I
everyone's
think
really
that changed.
everyone's really
Mhm.
like artistic right now. I think everyone being locked inside, it's creating a different side of things. So I mean, it's good to hear though that you guys are so damn busy.
Yeah, yeah. I really I can't speak for anybody else because I do know some people that have been kind of struggling a little bit with producing and everything. So we're fortunate to already have a little bit of a client base. But man,
Yeah,
I got a ton of new clients this year,
that's
ton of new
awesome.
people I was working with. Yeah, so
So cool because I mean, you guys deserve all the recognition down there. When I worked with you, it was an amazing experience when I was down there, and there's not many other. I think that a lot of people in bands, like don't get chances to do that kind of stuff, and you guys are
right.
have worked with so many amazing musicians that so many people are inspired by and have such a huge repertoire. It's mind boggling to think that like I have ever come down there and had that experience. Like I could look back on it, no matter what the fuck happened with the band or whatever. Like just being able to go down there and do that was so awesome. So I can only imagine the amount of people that when they do come down there, they're like, holy shit, like this is crazy. So
Yeah,
I'm working. I started working with doing some online like producing with JD from Ice Nine Kills. You remember him?
yeah.
So I've been working with him lately, and we're doing it all over the computer and stuff, which is very different. Do you guys have any clients that you're working with on that, or is it all you still got everybody coming in?
Um, yeah, we have done. We kind of set up a little bit of a way to do some like remote work with people, and it honestly isn't much different than something that we were doing before or could have been doing before.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like like we're obviously in different parts of the United States, and like if people can't afford all the travel and expenses and everything that comes with that, like you said, it's like a limited experience. So people can we do have like a system where we can do like virtual pre-production or virtual like kind of songwriting notes or even arranging and songwriting and producing, like probably similar to what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. It was very grueling. I think it's already pretty grueling. Pre-pro is, but it's
Yeah,
grueling 9 hours like sitting in a chair. Oh, like looking at the screen. It's like oh my god.
yeah.
I guess that's what you guys do, anyways.
I was born in it. I was born in the darkness. So
it it surprises me. I feel like the artistic side of things is really brought out though when you go to a place like you guys have created, like you and Andrew have created down there, uh, and like when I one of the experiences when I first walked up, when I like reflect on it, I remember walking up to it, like pulling up to it, and we were like, "What the fuck?" We were so confused. I was like,
Yeah.
"Hold on a goddamn moment, this better be some." And then we walked in, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it. It's like this hidden gem in the middle of this little area," and that was, I think, it's a really cool thing that you guys have, but the limited the limited experience and that first initial shock of walking in there and kind of like walking down that hallway and seeing like those bands is stunning for someone on the outside. So I mean, I don't know, you've been doing it for so long that it's just kind of like those guys are like, those are your friends and stuff, a day to remember, those are your boys.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
how does that like, how weird is that for you? Is it weird at all that people are so like in shock that those guys are?
No, because when I started out, like they were kind of like they were like the good local band just making it out. They were like the first one of a small handful of like artists to make it out of our hometown. And Ocala, for any Day to Remember fans, I'm sure they know. Um, but like, uh, yeah, when I started, they were kind of, they were the bros. They were the guys. In like the good local band that was making it out. So for me, I'm not, obviously I don't have that like that that initial shock value of like, oh, I'm meeting like my favorite band or a celebrity. But I would have that with maybe somebody else, and I can understand that feeling. And it has happened. I've met like one of my favorite bands, or at least interacted with them. But it was kind of through my connection with a Day to Remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can imagine that. Like we even have like I think there was like a UPS delivery guy who like came in the door and like saw the hallway, and he was like, "What is this place?" He's like, "Did these bands work here?"
He stumbled upon the Leia.
Yeah,
It's fucking
and
funny.
I thought about it like, man, this must be a really intense experience. So that was like the first time I actually thought about that, because like bands come in, like you guys come in, and people are taking pictures and stuff, and they love it, and it's awesome. It's awesome. We're all stoked to be here. But yeah, that was like a realization of that
That's
feeling.
funny as hell. I can't imagine. You just sign up to be a mail guy, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, you never know where you're delivering to, so.
True that. One of the oh, let me pull up my sheet here. I have a question list for when I get off. Ugh, Lordy. I think I'd be prepared by episode 3. This whole podcast thing is interesting. It's been fun. It's a different experience.
Yeah, this is my first time on a podcast. Like,
It's
yeah.
I wish I could do in person ones, man. I love the interaction I have with people, and I don't know. I think I just decided one day, I was like, you know what? I know all these cool fucking people. I'm just gonna start doing this. I can see what happens. So when I was down there when we were recording, there was the place is pretty massive. But the one thing that like stood out to me while I was there is that glass that kind of broke. Do you remember that whole situation?
Yeah. Yes, I do, because I told the story last night, because
Oh,
I was with some friends last night, and we were having a friendsgiving, a late friendsgiving, because we wanted to avoid gathering until it felt all safe for us with COVID and all that stuff. So
yeah,
we
absolutely.
we had a small gathering of friends to celebrate the holidays, basically. And naturally, when you're having fun drinking and stuff sometimes falls off the counter or whatever. So yeah, something shattered and broke, and it reminded me of that story
It
with
just took
you
you.
and the the syrup or whatever it was, the flavored syrup falling and having to clean that up. And yeah.
Dude, that, and then there was also that window that broke. Remember went in the randomly in the night?
The
Do you remember
window.
Andrew's window to the to the drum room?
Oh my god, that was
Yeah.
then. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just
That's how
shattered. It
long
just
it's
shattered.
been. It just shattered in the middle of the night. Yeah, so for those who don't know, the
Yeah.
the audio compound is haunted by the ghost of Dog's Pass. I don't fucking know. And randomly one night while we were down there, I think it was it was either while we were down there or it was right before we got there. The window that you look into when you watch your drummer, doing their dumb stuff in on the drum set, shattered randomly in the middle of the night. So we were just like, "Yo, let's go ghost hunting at the audio compound." Have you guys had any like creepy shit happen since then? Or because I mean, you guys have like motion sensors and all that crazy security. Like it's like breaking into an evil lair, and like you're not gonna get in.
Yeah, there's hasn't really been any like major incidents like that where it was like, how did this window break or whatever. But I've been here alone, late at night often, and sometimes I'll hear something that very much sounds like another person is here. Like I know all the noises and like all the building noises and stuff, and like sounds like footsteps or sounds like somebody placed something down on a table or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna ignore it, and I'm gonna shut my door because they can't get me inside my room.
It's just in my head. It's just in my head.
Yeah.
Everything's all soundproofed up in there, like everything. So like if you hear something, it's like, well, that definitely came from right there at this exact location. Like you can tell right where it's
Yeah.
at in there.
Yeah.
What was I gonna? What is this? On my notes, I have the fork thieves. I don't know what that is. Oh, you made a status.
Yeah.
I saw that stat. What is that story? What happened?
Okay, so this actually could be thrown in like the ghost story thing. All of a sudden, one day we realized, well, maybe not all of a sudden, but like one week, like a week of time, we were noticing that our forks were going away, and we were getting
like the forks in the kit, like in the audio compound. Like you're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like our nice like our whatever silverware forks in the drawer. I noticed there were none in there, none in like the dish rack area, and there was an odd amount of spoons, like more spoons than I could even want. And I'm like, okay, there's no way that we have this many spoons now and no forks. They didn't turn into spoons. So yeah, we we put it out there. Andrew made a GoFundMe.
Are you fucking kidding me?
He made a GoFundMe for forks, and it worked. We got I think raised $30 for the cause, and someone anonymously sent forks to the studio.
Maybe those
in
are the
addition
forks
to
that
that
got stolen. Maybe that was guilt right there.
well, they were packaged, so
okay.
they'd have to
That'd be a lot of work.
but
a lot of process. That's fucking
so
amazing.
I don't know. There's no explanation. There's no explanation because we asked anybody who would be in here, and they said no. They said they didn't
we
take
always
them.
have our spoons disappear in my house. Maybe I'll set up a GoFundMe and see what happens. You guys are
try
crazy
it.
down there.
It works. It works.
So how who you been working with recently that you really enjoying? What bands should I be looking at right now? Should I be listening?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I've been working with a ton of like artists that are smaller, but really I would say deserve a lot of attention. One that jumps out, or there's a couple that jump out, but to start, there's a band called Magnolia Park. They're from here in Orlando. They're killing it. They're like a pop punk emo mixed with a little bit of like they got a ton of different influences, like a little bit Bring Me the Horizon kind of thrown in there, some electronic stuff. A few of the guys in the band are producers themselves, so they definitely have a good mindset. They're killing it. Yeah, they're killing it. They were popping off on like TikTok and stuff, and they've got a lot of cool stuff coming up for them.
I was about to say. I was like, the name sounds familiar. I didn't want to like claim to know who they were, but yeah, TikTok. That's where I've seen them before. Okay, yeah, that's crazy. I ran into your TikTok randomly the other day. I was like,
did you?
Yeah, the Day to Remember one where you put it in the
yeah. It's kind of blowing up.
Yeah, I was like, is that? It's like I watched it and I was like, wait a fucking moment, and I had to like go back and watch it. And I was like, that's Andy.
That's awesome.
Everyone's jumping on the TikTok train, man. It's the new wave.
Yeah.
That's what I've been using for like Twitch and shit. It works. It's weird. It's like the new Twitter. Twitter's oversaturated at this point. Too many fucking people. Too many OnlyFans accounts.
OnlyFans. It's like either OnlyFans or politics. That's like it.
Hmm.
That's all. Yeah, that's all I see.
Only
But maybe
one of
that's
those
just.
do I want to talk about.
Yeah,
So
I hear that.
Magnolia Park,
Yes.
I'll look into them. You got any others? Who else we kicking around?
Yeah. There's another group of guys called Take Lead. They haven't hit. I would say they haven't hit like a big wave of popularity yet, or at least like their first wave. But it definitely will happen. They're kind of like indie rock, a little bit of ambient kind of stuff, a little bit of pop, like pop influence. Actually, a lot of pop influence. Singer's great. They've got I think they've got a lot going for them. They just really need the right push. And like my job as a producer, it's not always just music. So, I've got
Yeah,
to kind of invest a little bit in them and help guide them along. But I think they've got a good formula. Um, and I honestly think in the next, I'd say 2 years, they'll be a name. They'll
for
definitely
sure.
be a name. Yeah.
That's always got to be fun for you to watch that grow. Watch the bands kind of like bloom out and become, what you're I guess what you're expecting them to become.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm hoping for, and
Yeah.
sometimes you, like as a producer, you don't always identify that quality, and you kind of have to work with somebody a few times, maybe even, to kind of pick up on like what their strengths are. But the longer I do this, the easier that is to identify. That the more experience I get with identifying those qualities.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So how many years have you been doing it? I forget that, how did you come about working with Andrew and working at the compound? And because you guys originally weren't even in Ocala, I can't even say the fucking name of the town. Ocala?
Yeah, we okay, so yeah, I've been doing this for I would say 10 plus years. So just over 10 years. I hit the 10-year mark like earlier this year, which was a huge like reflection moment for me. And it's awesome where I'm at now. But it's a long story, but I can give you a like somewhat abridged version of it. Um, Basically, my first serious band, where we're trying to spend money on recordings and go and tour and do all that stuff. We were in Ocala, and we wanted high quality recordings, and all the bands that were sounding good were going to this guy Andrew Wade, and we're like, okay, so you know, all of a sudden that a data remember stuff comes out, and we kind of hear through them like, oh, this is the guy, this is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we go, we book with him, and he wasn't even going to work with us because he didn't. He got to the point. He had just gotten to the point where he didn't want to work with locals. So
Yeah.
we come in, we don't really have a demo to show him or anything because we're trying to get our first recording. So what we ended up having to do was, go get some demo done at some random studio, hourly kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Bring it to him, and he's like, "Oh, this is actually kind of good." You know,
Okay.
and we're like, "Okay, let's do a song with him and see how it goes." So that's where I met him the first time. Um, I wouldn't say it was like a match made in heaven or anything, or like we clicked immediately. It was one of those things where I saw what he was doing, and I was recording. I had just started dabbling in recording my band's demos.
Yeah.
um, I saw, I saw and heard the difference between my demos, the studio we had gone to do our first like song, basically, and then his quality, and hearing the difference and watching how seemingly easy it was for him to do everything that he was doing and make everything sound great. And also, he dug in with us and did a lot of pre-pro and helped with the songs.
Yeah.
Um, and that to me was just like, wow, I don't know if I can try and get to this point or this level, but I really like doing this, and I want to elevate my game. That's basically how I came out of that experience. So fortunately, with that band, I was like the big like I was the business person basically. So I was the one communicating with everyone, kind of had everyone's numbers and stuff. So I had his phone number and his email. So basically, what I would do is I would text him randomly all these really dumb basic Pro Tools questions, and he wouldn't answer for a while actually. And it got to the point where it almost became like a little inside joke between me and a couple of the guys in the band, because I was like, he's not going to answer, and I honestly didn't really expect him to.
Yeah.
But then I recorded like some other demo that was like something for our band, and it didn't sound terrible. I was like, okay, I'm to a point where I think that this might sound all right. So I sent it to him randomly, and he responded. He's like, this actually sounds pretty good. And I'm like, okay, so
He only responds to he's like, all right, it's good.
yeah,
I'll be there.
yeah. He's like, hey, this sounds pretty good, but there's some things wrong, and here's some quick tips, basically. And then I think he hit a point where he needed some help. I
Yeah.
think he had maybe a couple interns in and out, but I think he didn't really want an intern. So he was like, I can, if you can handle this task or this task, really basic stuff, I can pay you a little bit for it.
Yeah.
Basically, his reasoning was, if I pay you, I can yell at you if you do it wrong. So yeah, so I did it. I didn't do anything wrong the first couple times, and he was like, yeah, if you want to come in and hang out in the studio and just kind of see how things go, and basically I just started doing that. And honestly, it kind of grew from there, to be completely honest. Like,
Yeah.
it grew from there.
And it makes how we talk about Andrew, I feel like it makes him seem like such a dick, but he's not. He just has a very high standard of quality. Like he wants to work with the best, He's kind of one of those people that, man, that first time we met him, I was so happy you were outside. Like, it was so awkward for us cuz like he was like, "Where's your instruments?" And we're like, in the room. Sorry, we'll go get them now." Like, it's like you felt like you're being scolded by dad. He's very, very intimidating, and you helped break that ice where there was like this weird. It wasn't. I want to say there was a tension. It was just so fucking. It was the first time we had worked with someone of that caliber, and you were like, "Oh no, it's okay. Let's just how you broke the ice was perfect." And I feel like you play a good role down there in the social side of things, because he's intimidating at first, man. He's big dad. He doesn't. After that, once we got past that first 4 or 5 days of pre-pro, and we kind of started to learn the personalities, it was nice to see that. How what, like, with other bands and whatnot. What do you? Sorry. With other bands and whatnot. What do you have that experience as well? Is it the same way?
Mostly, yeah. A lot of bands are, you know, like we kind of talked about before, they come in and it is intimidating. It's an intimidating and exciting experience, and fortunately, like, I get to see the positives out of everybody. Everybody's stoked to be here, and that everybody's ready to work. Everybody's just like amazed, or sometimes they're not really bothered, and that's cool too. But yeah, I definitely know what you mean. There's a learning curve with Andrew, and I would say with myself. There's a learning curve. And yeah, he is very focused, very driven. He works much longer hours than I do. He takes on a lot more, and like, if that's the secret to success, then I'm here for it. But yeah, it definitely, as far as the personality stuff, actually that's the first time that I've been told that I'm like maybe a little bit of that like balance.
You are 100%. Yeah, 100%. You're that balanced. That was something that I think if you wouldn't have been there, the rest of the time would have been awkward as fuck. Working with both of you, because that was we kind of got. I remember you guys were trying something new when we came in, and you were doing the whole. You were trying to like basically take a band and you'd work with them, and he'd pre-pro and you'd record, and it was a whole different process. And we were the first one you tried it on. And I'm happy we got that. We got it that way, because I mean I'm a very awkward person anyways. Like I have awkward moments all the time with people I've known for years, man. And with him, I was like, I don't know what the fuck to say, man. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Like he almost freezes you, and then he questions everything that comes out of your mouth.
Yes, 100%.
Which in reflection, if I was like completely full of myself, I would feel like like it kind of like drives you crazy because you're like, what the fuck? Like, hold on. uh,
Yeah.
and but he's not. He doesn't do it to be a dick. That's the thing, and it's very. It was nice. It was nice to have that voice that goes, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Why
Yeah.
are you sure? How has
Yeah.
that been? I mean, you've had that for 10 years. That's got to be. Do you find yourself
Yeah.
questioning yourself more?
Well, yeah, I do. I actually, this is actually something I've never talked about, and a lot of people don't know this, and you may not know this. Andrew and I were roommates for a couple of years.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we lived together.
Fuck.
Right when I moved to Orlando from Ocala, he was already planted and needed a roommate. So I moved in.
Yeah.
And so that was where I got what you were talking about. I had to kind of like really learn, like, because I knew him and he was a friend, but obviously, as we all know, like living with somebody's totally different.
Yeah.
So I had to learn. That was kind of a crash course, I think. Like the first month, you know what I mean? I'm sitting there like, wow, he's like, I thought he was like this just in the studio, but
Very meticulous, which is
yeah,
it's good. It's good in the line of work you guys are in. But man,
yeah.
I can't like I don't know about going out to the bar with the man. Like
Honestly, no, he's great. He's great in that scenario. I mean, he's great, all the time. But,
yeah.
um, but yeah, it's he loves a good time,
Yeah.
So
I it it's very difficult for people that are like watching home. It's very difficult to like explain. I don't know. Imagine dad, but dad like is still kind of funny, but dad's the biggest smartass you've ever met in your life. Like I it's
yeah,
it is it so how is
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
He's like the epitome of uh you ask him, can I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, yeah, entirely. How about are you working on anything yourself? I know he was working on some music and whatnot. Are you messing around at all or anything? Or are you just focused on the production side of things right now?
With my own music, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yes and no. I'm super tied up with like a ton of production work, a ton of work with other
Mhm.
artists, which is awesome. But recently I've been trying to kind of set a lot of time aside to start working on my own music again. It's been a while. It's definitely been a while. So I'd really like to try and get back into that.
Yeah, I was kind of going through your I was stalking your Facebook, trying to find a picture for the post on there, and I saw a lot of the pictures of you playing bass and whatnot, and I was like, yeah, man, I completely forgot about that, and it kind of sent me down a rigmarole, and I realized that there's a band that I've been jamming for fucking 3 years, I think it's been since we went down there, 3 years,
Uh-huh.
2 years, and it was a band you introduced me to, and you said I think you played bass for them called Engraved.
No, I filled in on guitar
Okay.
for engraved, yeah. For actually a really short time, but that's three of my like some of my best friends are in that band.
I fucking love that band. Like I've turned people on in Kansas. Like everybody I meet that's like, oh, I like Beartooth or I like whatever. I'm like these guys right here. Listen to them.
Yeah,
That Drug Knife EP is so fucking sick.
it's great. It's great.
Did they work with you on that, or who did they work with on that?
No, no, my buddy in the band, he's kind of like the main guy in the band. He's a songwriter and everything. He did everything. Actually, I'm pretty sure. I think he recorded and mixed it. May have had it mastered elsewhere, but that was all him. Yeah,
Sounds sick.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm. They're not. Are they a band anymore?
I actually don't know.
Oh, that'd
I
be
think it
so
might be a
sad.
situation where one person might say yes and the others might say no. I don't really know.
No. Say yes. Man,
Yeah,
I would die for another one of their APs. That shit was it's so good.
I'll let them know. I mean,
Tell them Kansas
yeah.
is repping.
Okay. Yeah.
So uh you've been working with a lot of the smaller bands. How about any bigger bands you're working with right now, or is Andrew kind of fronting the bill on a lot of that, or?
Yeah, Andrew's been doing a lot of like basically how it's been going is Andrew's been doing only like bigger artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working with like a lot of the like I would say developing artists.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my lane right now. Um, yeah, that I wouldn't say there's any names that I could tell you at least in the last 8 months or so that people would really recognize everywhere.
Yeah.
But you know that's the name of the game. You know, and I'm kind of trying to work on building up, you know, making my a day to remember, you know, that kind of
There you
thing.
go. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
And you're very well versed in that, and not well versed. What's the word for it? You have a level head with the dynamic of that. I think that situation, because a lot of people, I think would try to get ahead of themselves, and I think you've really you've kind of taken on the role as like like listen, like this is my like where I sit, as you said, this is my lane, and I will grow from here and can make that progress. What is it exactly when how do I explain this? Trying to find the way to word things, man. I'm at a
yeah,
loss for him today. This is where Xavier's nice. I have the second man. He'll come in and be like,
yeah.
"Hey, dummy, say it right." What is it exactly that the dynamic between you and him? How do you feel like it work? Does it work out with you guys a lot, or do you guys clash a lot with it, or you know? I mean, you're very level
um
headed, as I said, but I don't know. It's you guys kind of know your roles.
yeah, I don't yeah, there's no clashing or anything with that because Andrew and I we work completely, we function completely as a unit. As far as like booking goes, like obviously he'll book his projects. He books a lot of projects for me though, acting as my manager. So
Mm-hmm.
with that, you know, I I owe a lot to him as far as just having that consistent work. But it's gotten to a point now where I'm on my own, but also working with him as well. You know, where he's booking me
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So there's really no clash or anything as far as like stuff like that goes. And there's really no, like I said, like I don't have a problem working and grinding with with bands who do have potential and are
Mm-hmm.
just happen to be smaller and they just haven't hit it yet. That happens. I've been there multiple times,
Yeah.
and I've been doing it for 10 years, so I know. I really I would say I'm an expert in knowing what doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen
What
that a lot.
there's a lot to it, a lot that people don't understand. Like, and that's one thing that on every aspect of a band too. There's a lot that people don't understand. The production side of it though is definitely, in my opinion, the most complicated, and I think people
Mm.
get very tied up in the processes. And what is your what would going in, what would be your advice to bands when they walk in there? What if you knew them, like, and that they've never done it before, say like the band I was in, we walk in 2 years ago and we're like, yo, we're nervous as hell, we have no idea what the fuck we're doing, what do you think they should do?
Yeah. Um. Well, so you guys were a great experience first and foremost, as far as preparedness
Thank you.
and overall level of ability and having your like your roles put together. So I guess those aspects would be the things that I would tell fans to really hone in on is like know who you are as a band,
Mm-hmm.
or at least as much as you can, because if a band comes in and they don't know who they are, that makes I have to like do double the work, because then I have to figure out, not only do I have to listen to like their music and basically push buttons and do all the technical stuff, but also I have to kind of hold their hand and figure out who they are for them. Um, but if a band kind of has their identity and their all their ducks in a row, and I know this sounds really vague, but what I mean by that stuff is like knowing their influences musically,
Yeah.
knowing where, like having a vision for like what they want their songs to sound like post like studio. Like, so when they get the product back from me or the mixes back from me, like I want them to already kind of have like a little bit of a vision.
Yeah.
So there's gotta be like a visionary in the band. That's a big thing. Um, so like that's one big, that's like the more like creative personal aspect.
Mm-hmm.
The other big aspect is the like technical preparedness. So like if anybody in the band knows how to record it all, like push that as far as you can. Get your demos sounding like songs.
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
bring me bring me songs, and you know, I work with a ton of artists where we co-write and stuff, and so going into the studio, that's a little bit different. I understand where we might be writing from scratch, but if it's kind of a normal project, you know, have ideas, have get them on your own, like as a band, to the point where you feel like they're ready to release.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then that's where I can come in, and like if you have your identity, you have your vision, and then you have the demos and the songs to match, I can take that and we can do a lot with that.
Yeah, I think knowing your role in the band is a very important and vital part of it. Knowing where you sit and like, because the social dynamic in a studio, like it's grueling at a certain point with that pre-pro and the writing. Like it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
When we went in, we didn't have fucking shit for lyrics on the song, so me and Austin had to write day in and day out. And I can't even fucking consider how many times we wrote those songs, but knowing who's gonna grind and who's gonna go to bed early, and like these are they're not, people take these things and look at them in a bad way, and I think that's a big problem. Knowing your role in the band, knowing whether you're the leader, whether you're the producer, you're the business guy, whatever the fuck it may be, you own that, you hone in on that, and you focus on that part of yourself and the band, and then you have everybody, and you keep in that lane. I feel like I
Yeah.
think that's something a lot of bands miss when they're trying to do it correctly, and too many people are trying to do too many of the same thing. You know.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. That's a really really good piece of advice for any band. And the unsuccessful bands that I've been a part of, or even seen or worked with,
Mm-hmm.
that's been a huge factor.
Yeah.
Huge factor is that there's always like a couple people who have a different perspective on what the band is and why. You know, but if everybody's got this on the same page, you know, that to me that's bare minimum.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I think knowing when there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of experiences that I've had since that we've worked together, and that like obviously that band like broke up when we were like at the peak of what we were doing at that point. For us, that was our peak right there, for in my mind, at least for our level.
Mm-hmm.
And like at the time it sucked a lot. It hurt me a lot. It was very very hard because I had invested so much of like my heart and like so much into it. But now, like looking back, I very much understand how everything kind of went wrong and whatnot, and it was the roles, 100%. It was 100% everybody trying to step over each other's feet, you know, and not working as one cohesive unit, and so at that point it just falls apart.
Yeah.
So definitely know your role, hone in on it, and love it, and be all
Yeah.
right with
Yes. Love it. Yes. Exactly.
be all right with everybody else's role too, man. Be okay with them doing what they're doing and doing it well. Uh, have you had what you talk about the readiness and the preparedness of bands that come in there, and we never thought we were
Mm-hmm.
prepared when we walked in that door. I mean, we didn't even bring our instruments inside the first time we walked in. Um, what's you gotta what's the worst you've ever seen a band come in unprepared with? How bad has it been?
Oh man, I don't want to call anybody out, but
No names.
so this might not count because this was a long time ago. This was like 8 or 9 years ago. So like one of the first, like not first, but like one of the first few projects that I was doing
Mm-hmm.
um out of my like home studio. Um So like I said, maybe a little unfair, but it was a person who came in and said they had full songs written and ready to go. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, cool. So let's do it. It was just one guy. He comes in and he I guess it was just maybe a miscommunication. So he had his notebook full of his songs,
Oh.
and
Oh.
that's what he meant. Um,
Fuck.
and I was like, yeah, he had his like, and it was that stereotype, like that composition notebook, like,
Uh-huh.
and with like his name written in Sharpie and stuff. And I was like, okay. And he starts flipping through pages, and he's got lyrics. I tell you what, he had a full notebook full of songs, full songs of lyrics. And I was like, okay, so first question, can you like play me one of your songs like on the guitar or piano or something? And he's like, oh well, I don't really have like an instrumental for any of these. And I'm like,
So you had to write
oh,
everything.
okay. So
Uh,
this was like my first experience in like the like almost psychology aspect of what I do, like where I had to really like kick it into high gear and like help this person to figure out what we're doing for the rest of the time we had booked. And basically, yeah, that's all he had. So I had him just sing what he heard in his head to a click track, to a metronome. And then from there, I was like, okay, so you have your like verse, pre-chorus, chorus. He had all that stuff,
yeah.
but only vocals and like a basic melody. So based on what I could tell he was singing, I was like, all right, let's build a chord progression and then let's write a song. And we did I think two or three that way. Um, so
That's a very that's the hardest way to go about it in my mind, definitely. Like when it comes to writing
yeah,
writing a song based on just the
yeah,
melody.
yeah, yeah.
How did the
You
songs
just,
come out good though? Did it work? Like, I mean,
yeah,
how do you
yeah, they
like
were okay. I
is
mean,
the best it can
as
be going
yeah,
off of strictly melody?
exactly as good as you could expect.
That's crazy. I've
Yeah,
never I don't see that's why I could never do the production side. I'd be like, all right, well, you're just gonna have to come back another time. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do this. That's yeah,
yeah,
and that's another part of it too is the crazy amount of talent it takes too for you guys because you guys are writing fucking crazy catchy good things that are, uh, most people don't write this stuff. There's only a select few, and even myself like the writings that I have, they don't come on par with the stuff that you guys do. And that's why I work with people that are above me because I'm like, look, if I work with these guys and write with these guys, then I'm going to get the best product ultimately. You know,
yes, yeah, absolutely.
me for 1 second, I've been attacked.
Okay.
Oh, good lord, that one was being born when I was down there.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now she fucking loves the guitar. She loves getting up there and messing with that thing, and I want her to touch it. It scares me.
Well, that's cool though.
Yeah,
A
no, she
little,
loves music. Yeah, we just bought her
yeah.
her first like little guitar, and she like goes to sleep with it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's
A, s-
obsessed. So it's
a
great.
star is born.
Yeah, no, I love it. So, no, but what we're saying, yeah, the amount of talent that it goes into it. A lot of people, I think, a lot of people don't understand the co-writing process. And you pay for that at the end of the day, no matter what. You pay the money because you're working with the best of the best. One thing I've noticed is that the experience for me hasn't differed in working with JD from working to you guys when it comes to the co-writing process, which is kind of weird to me because I thought it would be drastically different, I guess.
Hmm.
Have you ever had any like anybody who's come? I mean, you've worked with people who have a bunch of different producers. How have they? What's the comparison? How often do you hear about the processes and your guys's versus theirs and how that all goes? Or
Yeah. Pretty often. Um, and s- some good, some bad, honestly. And because I have to also understand like the situation under or the circumstances under which like the artist is now working with me, because like if they had a good experience or consistently good experiences with somebody else, sometimes they stick with them. But obviously there's other reasons to work with different people. You know what I mean? Like you just want to work with somebody else and get their creative input and all that stuff. So like I hear both like good and bad um about, and I'm always curious too. I always ask. I'm like, well, what was it, what was it like working with so and so, just
Yeah.
kind of like seeing if there's any little things I could pick up on.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely it's different in on the online side of things too. Right now the experience is so like I would almost say it's strained in a way, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
you don't get all of it by any means. It definitely gets like taken out when you don't get to show up and work with people in person. Um,
Hmm.
and that the social interaction is a huge thing that you guys rely on down there, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe not. Do you guys rely on the like how much of that really goes into it?
I do. I actually rely heavily on it. Like I have to, with everybody I work with, I have to find that connection personally. Like even if it means like we've got to like not actually talk about music or the project for like an hour or two,
Yeah.
just to like get to know each other or like joke around. Like you want to develop like inside jokes and the just the personal connections and stuff. That's a huge thing for me. Because at the end of the day, I want people to leave with not only what I can give them with my talent, but I want them to leave with a great experience working with me. um I'm just here to make friends. I
Yeah.
just do it for the friendship.
Truly spoken like a Florida man down there. You guys got that a day to remember vibe, huh?
My friends.
So how and there's so many that place is such a hot spot. That's one of the craziest things for me. And I think I truly like from an outside perspective, I truly do think it's because of you guys. Like the compound and that being in that location that spawns all those bands that come out of there. I mean, even you guys is the newest guy that's been with you. He's been with you a while now, but the guy he was newer when I was first like when we first came down there. I forget his name. The other gentleman you guys were working with at the time. You had a third guy in the studio who was like interning for you. And he was a
Oh yeah, Nick was it
I
Nick when you were here?
I don't remember. He has a
Dark
band.
hair, a little taller. Oh,
He
he's a
has a
band.
he has a band down there as well. I don't remember his name.
I'm confused. I can't remember because we do have a lot of interns in the past as well. Um,
I'm
do you
trying
remember
to
his band?
he that's what I'm trying to think of. 'Cause I still follow them. They're like a pop punk band. The hell was the name of the band? We've lost it. See, this is why I write down
Yeah,
notes, Andy.
I'm trying
They
to
don't
think.
work. They fail me. The hell? Um. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know. I'll
Yeah,
come back to it.
we had in the other room, the other studio, we had a guy working out of there for what is it, URM, the nail the mix
Yeah,
stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah. They've since left, and now actually Neil from A Day to Remember has his like personal studio in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so he moved right in, and it's really cool. It almost feels a little bit more like a home, or a little bit more like a family
Yeah, for
now
sure.
that he's here, just because there's no random things going on in there. Like
Yeah.
he's in there, we know what he's doing.
You don't have to like check in and be like, "Hey, what was that sound?"
Yeah, and he's rock solid. He's an awesome guy. So having him here is really cool. He has a ton of gear, ton
Yeah,
of gear.
I bet after being in a day to remember for 15 years, you probably gather quite the collection.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Man, they all the and I try to talk I'm very careful about what I say a lot of the time when it comes to this kind of shit. But the under fire shit that they got recently with the bass player and all that crap, uh, it very much how they dealt with it and how they've like handled it. I very much like. There's a
Hmm.
lot of bands nowadays that are coming under fire for things that are, you know, I don't know what's the term I'm looking for here. Loose.
Allegations.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
The allegations that these people go under fire for nowadays is very rough on both sides, on I think on everybody too, and especially on fans. And I think they did a lot of the time. I feel like people uh, pit their fans against each other in those moments, and that is the
Mm,
moment that you need to unite your fans the most, and work together to obviously disprove whatever situations. But they did a very good job of keeping low key about it, and like in a way they were very like until they had like something to talk about or say anything. And even on the personal pages nobody said shit. And that's what you have to do in this day and age. You have to kind of like go we'll talk about it in court.
right. Right.
I
Yeah,
think
I agree with you.
I think I
Yeah.
saw something. Did they actually go to court for all that shit, or was that for the allegation stuff? Or I wasn't quite sure if I read that right.
I actually don't know. I kind of tried to not like talk about it much. I did have a conversation with Neil just to kind of like get caught up on any details, and it was a very casual conversation. So there was definitely no like big, oh, this is happening that nobody knows about. It's kind of all just out there. As far as the court thing, I don't know. I do know that there were a couple other people that the person that alleged what happened in the situation, I think she also had alleged or implicated or whatever the word would be,
Mm-hmm.
other people from other bands as well. So there must be some kind of I don't know if they're working together on stuff or whatever as far as like any legal action. I have no idea. So
So there's a lot.
um
That's such a crazy thing in this day and age. I feel like we have. I mean, obviously, not all people are good. That's a clear thing. There are a lot of people that are attacked though that are good. Like you remember Balls from Motionless in White, Josh Balls.
yeah.
He he's one of the most like positive people I've ever met or ever like been around. I met him a few times, and he had some allegations come out. And I was just like, dude, this is crazy. Like the stuff that they were claiming about these kinds of people, and I'm like, man, this in this day and age, it's so hard to like do music. I feel like or do anything that's like if you're popular, even fucking esports teams, man. You know, it's a
Yeah.
very very weird time. And it's like don't keep quiet, but don't fucking
Right.
don't lie or what. Don't make. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I'm not ever one to just automatically write anybody off for any claim.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody, accuses somebody of doing something, like, there's always like that you really want to believe them because they're obviously it's a serious situation, and if
Yeah.
you're coming out and telling your story and what happened, I get it. But yeah, they're definitely the what's the term, the court of public opinion is is really powerful,
It's very
and
harsh nowadays.
especially it is, and whenever you're like an artist, like you're in a band and you meet a lot of people, you know I never really would have thought about it thought about it in terms of knowing more people means more risk.
Yeah.
But in a way, it kind of has become that way where the more people you interact with on a daily basis, the more risk you run of maybe something coming against you.
Yeah.
You never know.
Being involved in a
Um,
situation like that. Yeah.
yeah,
The you know, it's a lot. It's hard. Sometimes it's just like it's even hard to like talk about because you have to kind of like tiptoe around things and whatnot. You have to be careful. I mean, you say the wrong thing, it gets taken out of context. You're fucked.
Right.
And it sucks. It's very sad that we can't very much have like an open discussion about it and be very, you know, like I wish that it wasn't 300 million people trying to have the discussion. I
Yeah.
wish
Yeah.
if we could all just like get into groups and make like cards and be like, here you go, here's what we think, like
Right.
like a
Yeah.
class project. But it's such a it definitely puts a dent. And even for me, like when I saw and they remembers a very big band to me. They were one of the bands that I first started like listening to, like metalcore or whatever, whatever the fuck you want. They're kind of everything, but they inspired me a lot in our writings and stuff. And I was like, I was very, taken back by it. And I think you are with all artists, and
Yeah.
yeah. So it just sucks to see. It's very sad, and I hope everything like gets figured out and whatnot. I mean, there's not much else you can really fucking do about it.
Yeah. I'm sure it will. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know like the details and everything. I don't know how strong or how strong the claim was, or how much it actually affected their fans. I know one thing I did read was that they did wait a decent amount of time before they even addressed anything, which I feel was pretty important. They've been handling it very professionally, and they have like
A
they
lot of
have a whole team and management and all that stuff.
mhm.
So
a lot of
they've got
people
the guidance.
a lot of people were pissed about how long they took with it, and I'm like, yo, they have to like. There's a lot of like we're talking about jobs here, We're talking
Yeah.
about a lot. These are people's careers. Like it's not just five guys or five. Yeah, five. It's five, right? Am I tripping?
Yeah. That's fine.
Forgot a guitar player there.
Yeah.
It's five people, but it's the crew around them. It's the the people they work with every day, the venues, and like it downpours even into you guys and your jobs. Like there's money that is very much taken out
Hmm.
when something like this happens. So it's sad, but
Yeah.
it is what it is, and hopefully everything gets figured the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you especially about this. We're gonna get a little weird here because strictly for the fact of like that he comes in there a lot, and I know you guys worked with him a lot.
Okay.
Franz.
Yes. How did I know where this was going?
What the OnlyFans thing, man? This man. Oh my god, it is what are your opinions on it? What do you have you seen it all? Have you seen how everything's going for him? He's crazy. He's fucking crazy.
Look, so I know Franz. He not super well, but I do know him and I've worked with him, and he's an awesome guy. He I don't want to like he's got his thing going on and he's very aware. He's very aware of what he's got going on and what people think about him. Um, and with the OnlyFans thing, I don't know. I've never talked to him about it. I don't think I've actually seen any content from it or anything.
Yeah.
I'm not really
I think
seeking that out.
Send you a link, Andy. Here, hold on. I very much feel when he first did it. So like these industries don't cross. That's one of those industries that kind of stands on its own island. You have like gaming, music, movies, porn.
Right.
It sits
Right.
out over here. And one of the things he did when he first started doing it, it was together. It was like his main page that he was using was used for the promotion of that as well, the promotion of the OnlyFans concept, which was rough because we're talking they're 15, 16-year-old kids following him, and he's daddy spit down my throat, please.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
And when he said, I noticed he got a lot of pushback when he did that, but he separated it, and it seemed like people were like, okay, well this is better now. Now we don't have to like.
Yeah. I think he like it seems like it's all part of his thing, his persona, right? Like
Bad boy, fuck bitches, get money, do what I wanna.
yeah. I think it's cool. I get it though, like using your main account. I guess I didn't fully realize that the Attila's fan base is probably under 18 generally, maybe
Younger.
around that age. Yeah.
It's a little bit younger. I mean, you got the Warped Tour fan base. You got to think about that. They were the Warped Tour
Yeah.
band for years. They were on fucking every other Warped Tour fucking for the last 10. It seems like since they've been around.
Yeah.
Especially the last few. They had the big main stage shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that he's doing the OnlyFans thing. For me, I think of it as this is what a rock star looks like in 2020.
You're not wrong. You're very 100%.
Yeah.
And that's something that's lost among music, in my opinion. Among rock is the rock stars.
Yeah.
The rock stars are few and far between nowadays, and the ones
Yeah.
that were gonna be rock stars are they either like already fucking washed themselves up and need to be sober, like asking Alexandria, Danny
Mhm.
very much was like the Motley Crue. They were the Asking Alexandria was like the Motley Crue of this generation, but they just
Right.
burnt themselves out so fast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Kind of shit
Yeah.
that they did.
That happens with the rock stars though. Like you burn yourself out and then you kind of get clean or you get a little wholesome, as a reaction.
Yeah.
Or like as your next what is it, like your next like phase of the evolution of a rock star.
You go through all the trauma and all the shit, and then you finally kind of just ascend it in a way. You kind of overcome
Yeah.
it.
I think another big thing, like you said with Asking Alexandria, though, like back in the day, rock stars had much more money and they had a much bigger team around them. So like, it's crazy to think that like Slash was straight up just a heroin addict playing guitar on stage every night. Because when you think about your typical heroin addict, you don't always think a person who's functioning and traveling the world.
Not at all, yeah.
So I'm like, as a kid, I was thinking, oh, like, okay, VH1 Behind the Music is talking about like heroin and stuff and hard drugs for years that they're doing. And then now as an adult, seeing the reality of what that actually means and then thinking, wait, my favorite rock stars were like on like, not just like drugs, but like life ruining drugs. Like,
yeah. The ones
like,
that
wow, that's
one of those things that I kind of you come to the realization of it for sure. You start to realize that, and it's not an easy fucking life either. There's no excuse to do heroin the whole time, but I mean, it's the traveling and I can't imagine it. It's got to be monstrous in that way. That Did you watch The Dirt when it came out? That Motley Crue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Loved it.
It was great, and it definitely, I think it did a good job of like capturing like that phase they go through with MGK as Tommy Lee, and he does the whole "this is my day," and it's like he's not fucking lying. Like Tommy Lee wrote that probably. He probably was like, "Here's what to say. Here's what happened every fucking day."
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, what's funny is I didn't know that was MGK until like seriously like 3 weeks ago.
What?
I don't know. It just I guess I never really like looked at him until recently, with his new like album and everything, all the videos that he's got out. But like someone was like, "Oh yeah, when he was in The Dirt," and I was like, "Hold on, wait, what? He was in The Dirt? Who did he play?" And they're like, "Tommy Lee. You didn't know that?" And I was like, "I'm an idiot. I just never put two and two together."
Yeah. Oh, I mean, his acting career is very separate. There's a lot of movies he was in that I watched, and I was like, I had no idea. So. But that one was definitely his big role. It's funny actually. So weird fun fact is, my wife's mother recently discovered that she has like a long lost brother, and he was the guy with Motley Crue that carried around the briefcase to bail them out of jail. The briefcase of $150K.
No way.
Yeah. So it's pretty. I was like, that's crazy.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he's got some incredible stories. I need to sit down and talk with him. I haven't got to yet.
For real. That's like that's a unique pocket of like music history.
It's like being Snoop Dogg's joint roller, like
yeah, exactly.
There's only a few. There's only a few of them. Like I couldn't imagine walking around with $150,000 and all those people all the time, all around you. Like it'd be horrifying. Like
I'd just be paranoid the whole time.
Exactly. It'd be fucking. No, thank you. So how you know we talk about the how hard it is to kind of do it at such a high level. I think it's very a lot of bands form. I mean, drinking and doing drugs is kind of just a part of it. It always has been in a way, but recently it's been pulled out of it a lot. A
Hmm.
lot of the bands are people are too emotionally unstable, unstable.
Unstable, yeah.
Jesus Christ, to be doing that shit, and like that's a lot why a lot of people are writing music nowadays. You see it in mostly the genre, like these genres and whatnot, and another part of it's the money too. Nobody's running on MGK's money in the metalcore scene except maybe Franz. Maybe
Right.
I don't know, but and he's even. I mean, he slowed down a little bit too. When he first started, he was fucking wild.
Yeah.
So, do you think that we'll ever get? Do you think we'll ever see the Motley Crue era again? Do you think it'll ever come back?
I don't know. Maybe it'd probably look a little bit different. Um, I don't know. Maybe not anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict that kind of stuff. Like you never know because I didn't think. I mean, if you would have told me 5 years ago that like pop punk would kind of like die out a little bit, but then come back with MGK doing a pop punk record, I would have been like, okay, sure. I would have like kind of believed it because like that's some like he's like next level artist as far as like fame goes, and
Yeah.
then he can kind of just do whatever he wants. But I would have said it probably is going to be terrible, and here we are, and it isn't, and people love it. So
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's terrible either. A lot of people there's the elitists in every music genre.
oh yeah, yeah,
So
it's good. It's good. People who don't say that's good, I'm actually here to say like I can tell you as a professional, it's good. It's good.
there you go. So what was I gonna say? The oh good lord, my train of thoughts fucking running everywhere today, man. Uh
Drugs,
drugs.
Motley Crue,
I'm not on them, I swear. Oh yeah, no, that actually the drugs works. I see a lot of people see like the emo like this new emo rap thing that's going on. I think
yeah,
that'll I think it'll die out. Not because I dislike it. I don't actually dislike it. I like a lot of them, but I think it'll die out simply for the fact that like a lot of these artists are not they're not doing anything right now. Like a lot of them are just kind of sitting
okay,
still. If you notice that,
right, right,
I haven't seen shit from anybody that's doing like emo rap. But who I do see a lot from right now, the people who have capitalized the most on this are the people in the EDM genre.
yeah, yes,
Uh,
uh,
it's crazy. Have you seen like Twitch and whatnot? Like if you get on there, there's like 35 like 30 on the top 10 every time. Bunch of EDM. I don't
yeah,
really like EDM. Like I don't have it on my stuff on Twitch, but it's always there. And
yeah,
it benefited so much from it. I feel like we might I almost feel like we might see them stay partially online for a while. Even when we go
yeah.
back to normal music.
Normal music, yeah.
It's
Uh,
fucking
that's funny to think about, but I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah, I have been speaking of Twitch. I've been kind of planning and trying to get like a little bit of some sort of a stream going with what I do. Just kind of the hard part's figuring out what I'm actually gonna do. But
yeah.
so with that, I've been like, look, I've been on Twitch and I've been looking at stuff and seeing what's popular and what people are doing like on the music side of Twitch. And I definitely have seen like what you just said. Like there's so many of them, but it's cool. I like it, and if there's a market for it, and those numbers are really big, there's people are
They're oh my god, the amount of money they're making, it has to be insane. You have
yeah,
30,000 people watching you. Don't have to pay anybody for a show. Like you don't have
yep,
to pay out the production. You don't have to pay to rent all the shit or buy it, whatever. Like why the fuck not? Would you like? I mean, why? I'd do
yeah,
one of those every week and then be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go on tour like once a year and do like a big like 4 or 5 month tour, and then the rest of it just sit at home. Like
yeah,
you know, Crazy.
Yeah, the like the EDM like show performance model translates really well to a stream.
Yeah.
Like it's basically the same, just at home. And like I think that's really cool. I think that's like a cool holdover until like people can have like EDC and whatever else, whatever the big festivals are again. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, I'm here for it.
What do you think about like the bands in like the metalcore genre not doing the and what not doing the live streams? Have
I
you
think it's
seen any?
great. Yeah, I've checked out a few. Um, I like me personally, it's not something that I would ever, even like my favorite band, I would never just go and or pay or whatever to
Yeah.
watch that. So like when it first started coming out, I was like, okay, well people have to do this because they have to do it. They're doing it because they have to do it because of COVID and
Yeah.
everything. So I was like, all right, I should probably give this a chance. I'm not one for live performances. I've never really liked live albums and like
Mhm.
live like music. I know that sounds really weird. I probably sound like a psycho, but like,
You're in the market for pristine, perfect audio. It doesn't sound weird.
yeah,
You
yeah,
guys like I could imagine it like to your ears. It's obnoxious and loud and brack. I'm sure. And yeah, no, I get it.
yeah, yeah. But the live stuff, like the live streaming stuff, it's cool. Because it's effort, you know, and I appreciate the effort that it takes to do that, the practice, the on my end of things, like that's a lot harder than doing like a studio production piece by piece.
Yeah.
um Getting it, like getting everybody on the same page, playing the right things, like getting the filming right. I can't even imagine, I'm not a film guy or anything. And like getting the shots and making sure, and if it's live, oh my god, like that's it's a lot of work. So those fans are like the people that are watching it and purchasing it or whatever it is, like that's a big deal. I think that's
Yeah.
a really cool thing.
I haven't been able to bring myself to buy one. I've only watched like
Yeah.
clips of them. I don't want to embrace the idea that live music will never be a thing. Like even though it's possible, even with a vaccine, it's still possible. These artists
Yeah,
could
we
go
don't know.
fuck it. We're just gonna play on Twitch from now on. Like I mean, I
True.
guess unless the DMCA is gonna. I mean, they might fuck you, but I mean, if you get hit
Oh,
by the
true. Yeah.
DMCA and it's your own music and they take money from you, are you still getting paid by your like? You're just like paying. Like, how does that work?
Well, so the DMCA complaint would have to come from the owner of the song, right? Is that
Oh
from
no!
my understanding, that's how that works.
Oh no! They fucking banned Herman Lee for playing "Through the Fire and the Flames" on fucking Twitch, bro.
They
Their shit
did.
is fucked up right now. DMCA is so like, oh dude, it's such a joke right now. It's so bad.
So I don't know anything about this, so you'll have to enlighten me. But if you do know, but is it like a person going on there and making that decision, or is it like an automated
It is an
system?
automated system. I actually got. I don't know if I got banned by it, but so last stream I tried to play some music just simply because I was like, I have like a list of like bands that aren't that I'm not gonna get DMCA'd for, and I
Yeah.
tried to play it, and it would not play through my stream at all. Like my Spotify would not go through. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like the songs are playing on my speakers right here. The song, like
Yeah.
everything's set up. I sat there and messed with it. I put it on different like channels on my voice meter and stuff. Did not matter.
Yeah.
Would not go through. I was like, this is very odd. So I'm wondering if somehow they've coded it to like make sure that programs can't play stuff behind it, or I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. I read something recently, just kind of skimmed like a blog or article about this, but like so there's some new stuff with the DMCA guidelines or laws or whatever, right? Then they're gonna pass something. I saw some YouTuber talking about how if he uses like other people's music on his videos, he could potentially actually go to jail.
there's some there's some fucking crazy politician somewhere being drastic as usual who's saying like if you fucking you're stealing stuff basically. It's the same thing as like pirating, same thing as like Napster and shit. It's they're saying basically that you're stealing music and providing entertainment with it. So if you're stealing it and you're you steal, you go to jail. That's the whole. It's
Okay,
ridiculous.
but hold on a second. We have we have a pretty good system in place, at least I thought, where say you have Spotify pulled up and you're playing these songs on Spotify, that's not stealing. You
It's
are
not
giving a revenue in some form to that artist, right?
entirely. You're not wrong. You're also introducing artists to people and showing them songs. Whether and like most artists are gonna want that over like the fucking what nothing that they're probably getting. I'm sure most of the money's not going to them. There's no way that these
Right.
people are getting banned or getting anything. It's very very drastic right now. You can't play like music in video games. So if you play Cyberpunk, they actually put a mode in the game that like you have to turn on that will turn off like all music that's copyrighted. It doesn't work right now because that game's kind of doing its buggy thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they put it into the game like that.
That's
It's crazy.
wow. I hate this so much.
It's dreadful. I had a buddy stream. I have a buddy who streams, and he got hit with DMCA. We're not even fucking banned anymore. Stories isn't a band anymore, and he played Rage on his stream and got fucked. They DMCA'd him and banned him.
Man, it needs to be a person doing this. Like there
Yeah.
needs to be context. Like that's the problem. I think YouTube maybe a year or two ago they were under fire or whatever because they had some automated system, and anytime somebody would make a claim against somebody else's video, they would either demonetize the video automatically or remove the sound or the problem in the
Yeah.
video. And like there was some nature channel who went around and they were just doing strikes on videos that had any animal noises at all, not even ones that were like from their videos or anything. This I remember that reading this guy had like whale sounds or something in his video, and they were like from some stock like free license thing. And they did like a copyright strike or whatever, flagged his video because this nature channel said, "Oh, that's whale sounds. We use whale sounds."
I don't understand. Well, first of all, actually, to what you just said, last I had Miles. You ever heard the band Saul?
Saul, no.
They're a newer band. They just worked with like
Okay.
David Draymond on a few songs and whatnot. They're up and coming. But Miles, you actually I think you know Miles because he was down. I think he came down there with Renegades when they turned into Renegades. Get Busy Living. Remember Chase Peterson?
Yes, yeah.
So Miles is in Saul now,
Okay.
and they're working as I said with David Draymond.
Yeah.
So he's fucking living his he's gonna after this whole COVID thing goes away, he's gonna get to live his rock star life for sure. In my opinion,
yeah.
They just released an album, but when I had him on, I like showed one of the videos. I turned off the music and everything too. And I still got demonetized on YouTube for the video because it just showed the video because the coding's there for the sound to be there. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy the
Man.
technology too that they have for it. Like
Yeah.
how the fuck do you like?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's, a technical like subset of like categories that this system goes through, or the algorithm or whatever we want to call it goes through. But with this, all this stuff, there's context. There's always context. There's always, because you can't just get rid of music on the platform. Like then someone else is gonna do a new platform, and you can have music on it, and that's the selling point, right? Isn't that kind of the way that
All they're gonna do
works?
is buy licenses for it. That's all. That's all that needs to be done. Really, ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, it's just like a radio station. You buy your fucking licenses to play the music. So like when you pay for it monthly as if you want to stream on Twitch and you want to play music in with your shit, you pay for a monthly license so you can have music. It's that simple.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's so easy. It's so easy.
I don't understand why we're talking about people going to prison for fucking wanting to play video games and listen to their favorite band.
Yeah, it's absurd,
dreadful.
but what it feels like to me, and this might be, I'm not trying to go too deep into a rabbit hole here, but what it feels like is that there's crazy big numbers on music streaming, video streaming, just streaming across the board is growing like crazy right now because of
Everyone's
the
at
world
home.
right, the world situation. It is what it is. It feels a little bit like some people trying to figure out a way to capitalize on that instead of just let it be.
100%.
Um,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
so
I mean, if COVID
Feels fishy.
Yeah. If COVID never happens and nobody sits at home and the numbers don't raise, you don't see the DMCA thing be brought up. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
law back from 90, what, I think 91, 96, I think my buddy said. And
Jeez.
it's a 25-year law. Like in those 20 years, we've made the most technological fucking advances you've ever seen. Like
Yeah.
we're fucking landing spaceships and shit now. Like we're like we can listen to music on like things that aren't plugged into anything at all. Like they just sit around, you just put them in your ears, no wires, no nothing. Like, bitch, take that law and shove it up your ass. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is nonsense. So it's so dramatic too. The how it works. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that when you stream, it goes through a filter, and that filter basically decides whether you're like there's a song or there's not a song. So if you sing a song perfectly on pitch for 5 seconds, DMCA, like that. I watched this one streamer and he wrote a song on ukulele, and it was the standard, the chord progression, the pop chord progression.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. And he literally just sat there singing about eating ass, and he fucking got DMCA'd. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like,
It doesn't make any sense. That's, to me, it almost feels like if you're gonna go that far, you're treating music like an afterthought almost. Like it's an important part, it's an important part of streams, like we said, like it's an important part of gaming. We're finding it at the end of the day, it only hurts the artist because they're not being heard. Yes, we want artists to get paid and we want things to be done correctly, but people, I'm not saying pay people in exposure or whatever. I'm just saying the art is meant to be experienced, and
the amount of money you make from 30,000 people watching your song on the stream compared to the amount of money you make from the DMCA. Let's just compare that number, because I promise you ain't getting shit from the DMCA when they flag your song on Twitch.
Right.
So that's just. Hopefully, I'm hoping it gets fixed. I'm hoping that Twitch steps up and does something. God help us. But they're very slow about this kind of shit, and they take their time. And I'm like, you have nothing else to do right now. Can we please send a team to focus on this and just set a group of people to decide what's right? Like, this isn't hard. Anybody who's been in the music industry for more than 5 fucking years, or has been in radio or any sort of, even people who've been in TV, they would sit there and go, buy the licenses, make them pay for the licenses. You make money, they get their songs, they make money. It's not hard.
Yeah.
So easy. So
everyone benefits.
Retain ownership of your masters is what chat says. No, I don't. That's good luck. That's not possible for most bands.
I mean, yeah, that's the price you pay sometimes for the support. Being on a label.
Even then, when you distribute your songs through any sort of DistroKid or CD Baby or anything like that, technically that's under a label.
Right. Yeah, a distribution company, label, whatever. It's different words for the same kind of thing, kind of concept.
Which is exactly why that song got tagged on that guy's stream. That was of a band that's 2 years dead. So
yeah,
it's like, what the fuck? We're not getting that money, obviously. Nobody's getting that fucking money. That's not going anywhere. That guy just got screwed for no reason. So we'll see what happens. With Mixer dying, Twitch is kind of the monopoly right now. I mean, YouTube and Facebook are still doing very well, but it seems almost like Facebook's video player doesn't do great features for streamers. It's very you have a 15-second gap until you get to a certain point, and you have to reach 150,000 fucking people before it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you get XXX and Y. It's a crazy gap.
Yeah, it almost feels like Facebook doesn't want to facilitate stuff like that at all. Yeah. But they're obligated to, because they have a lot of power and a lot of people, and I'm sure very smart people. Yeah. It seems like they don't want to support music and create the creative side of things. It almost seems kind of like just a click funnel for ads and media sources.
I, in my mind, Facebook's just to gather your information to sell it to somebody else so that they can get you there. It's really, it's always the same thing. There's no entertainment on Facebook per se. I mean, there's the streamers, but they don't want the streamers, as you said. And
Right.
so that's really the only entertainment you get. I mean, if you think about it, it's not like TikTok or like Instagram's kind of becoming like a shop TikTok version right now. Twitter's
Right.
always kind of had its own thing. I don't know. It's a very weird age we live in right now with all this, and
Yeah. I
any
think
better guidance.
it'll kind of, I feel like we're at a point with all this stuff where it's going to break through like a wall, like break through like a brick wall or whatever, like where on the other side is like maybe the promised land. When what I mean by the promised land is like stuff is like more organized, or like
Yeah,
some better things on the horizon. I could be totally wrong, could just get worse and we could all just be, you know,
we all just get demonetized. Nobody makes any money.
yeah, I don't know. That's the cynical, maybe the more cynical way of thinking
Yeah.
about it. But
Well, I heard
it kind
OnlyFans
of,
started doing live stuff, so who knows? Fuck it. Let's go over
I
there and
mean,
start streaming
yeah, why not start an OnlyFans for your music?
music stream. I mean, I'd fuck it. Yeah, why not? It's something I want to try very much to do is like intertwine them in a way, and like
Mhm.
I don't see very many people do that. Like I think Ronnie Radke is really the only one that I've seen like, and well, Matt Heffy obviously. Matt Heffy's huge in the Twitch community, which
Mhm.
makes me also wonder how he plays his songs without getting DMCA'd. Wow, someone's got some friends. That's what that
Some
is.
friends, yeah,
Yeah. Now that I
some
think about
questions
it.
to ask there.
Wow. Fuck. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see. As you said, either brick wall or we're gonna continue down this path to where people are just basically taking money out of each other's pockets because that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, as me and some friends last night were actually talking about the concept of like a lot of services and things that are kind of all intertwined in like this umbrella under like the internet. It's still
Mm-hmm.
kind of got to get like sorted out. It almost still feels like we're in an era where it was like the Wild West before, and now it's like the people who can benefit or want money or whatever, the ownership class or whatever is kind of like trying to take control, but it's something that you can't really just, you can't control it.
Yeah.
It's people. All it is at the end of the day, it's people making music, live streaming, doing whatever they're
Mm-hmm.
doing,
Being
gaming,
artistic,
any,
you can't
yeah,
like
being
put it.
artistic, entertaining, and
Yeah. It's kind of
you
hard to put a.
can't
It's
control that.
risky. It's risky to put a price on it and like try to like make it like yours, like you know. But
Yeah.
leave it to rich white people to try and do it though.
We always find a way, unfortunately.
I'm surprised Amazon hasn't started up. Like, oh well, Twitch. I'm fucking stupid. Duh.
Oh, is Amazon with Twitch?
Yeah,
Is that
Amazon
the
and Twitch are partnered up. I didn't even think about that. Twitch Prime. No wonder. It makes sense now. Who wants the money?
Jeff Bezos? That's who.
What do you see in your dreams, Jeff Bezos? Run. It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know how. I hope we can make it out of it though. I mean I think we will. Obviously, our music has always found a way to like break the fucking bonds of everything. That's
Yep.
the beautiful part about it is it's always found a way through all the bullshit. Um, it remains, and you need music no matter what in your life. I mean, without music, life is dull, very very
Yes.
dull.
Oh, I very much agree. My life would be very different without
Yeah.
music. So.
I'd be very fucking bored. You ever met someone who says they don't listen to music?
Yes, I have. It was actually a guy in a band that I worked with.
What? How does that work?
Yes. I don't know. I
Was
don't
he
know.
good?
I didn't even. Yes. Yes.
Natural.
He was very good. Yeah.
Oh.
Really weird. He's like, oh, I don't really listen to music. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're obviously kidding. Like, no, I'm not kidding. I don't listen to music. That was it. End of conversation. I was like, I don't really want to ask you why. It's like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm not
It's
gonna.
gonna be a fucking boring answer, I can tell.
Yeah.
Was the that's so crazy to me. Was he self-taught, or was he like, did he learn everything, like, is it all like
Um.
mechanical, or you know?
This guy's really unique. He was like a what's the word? He just was very scientific brain, like science brain. He was just like he knew all about theory and all the different
Yeah.
things you could possibly know with music theory, which is like vast, but he knew it all. But to accompany that, he was very particular, I'd say, about his music and everything. And I was like, so like, what are your influences? He's like, I don't really know. I'm like,
So you're just writing at that point. You're just writing mechanical music. You're writing robot music in my mind. Because I mean,
yeah,
you have no emotion towards it. You have no like no desire. What's the fucking point?
yeah. The thing is, he did like he there was emotion in it. So I was like, that was a hard one to work on. But it was fun. He was a cool guy, aside,
Yeah.
all that stuff aside.
I mean, I
But
kind of
yeah,
feel like with music theory, like you either learn like a little bit of it, and then you learn a little bit of the self-taught, and you kind of have that in between, or it's 100% one way or 100% the other way. I don't really
yeah,
find a lot of people that are like self-taught that it's hard to get into theory after you like self-teach.
yeah. I agree because there's no one forcing you to do it. It takes a very specific type of person to force themselves to fully learn music theory.
I had a buddy, I had a drummer who was doing. He went to Berkeley and was doing it, and I looked at the books. I was like, I don't fucking know what this is, man. Like, I'm just gonna play
Yeah,
this note because it sounds good. Like, leave me alone.
yeah,
I don't know what you're fucking. I don't know. I don't remember names of stuff even.
yeah.
It is a very complex. Do you ever get into it? Do you ever learn theory, or is it all you're all self, aren't you?
Yeah, with everything music and recording, I'm basically self-taught. If you want to consider like maybe having a mentor here or there, or interning or assisting,
I mean,
but
that's
yeah,
self-taught.
I didn't go to school for what I do. I never did music in school. Even in high school, I was never in band. I was never in any of that. I was in bands, but a lot of my friends in my actual school, they thought like music was kind of lame. Like not music itself, but like being in a band, it was kind of like
Oh,
it
that's a
was
dead end thing. Yeah.
yeah. And at the time, it was viewed as what's a nice way to say this that where I won't get in trouble. They call me names. You get called certain slurs, basically, questioning your you know manliness or something. I don't know if
Yeah.
you didn't play
Yeah.
sports and you did music instead. So that was kind of the way my school was. But then I found a group of friends, who kind of so with them, I guess it was like a community teaching, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned a little bit of theory. Just I know enough theory to talk with a person who does know a lot of theory and I can understand. It's almost like when someone says, "Well, I can understand Spanish, but I can't really speak it."
Yeah.
Um, I can understand most things that somebody is telling me with music theory, but I would not be able to communicate every little thing myself.
It's a lot. It takes years and years and years to like even consider learning. You know, some of it. I've had a lot of people, as you have, I'm sure, around you that knew it or knew a lot about it, and it's just
Yeah,
different working with them entirely. In my mind at
it
least, it was
is.
always talk. You do things and you play things, and they're like, "Well, this is this and this and this." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna play it. I don't care."
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's got to sound good. Like it doesn't matter if you're doing like the second interval or third or fourth. Like it's got
There it
whatever it
is.
is. It just has to sound good. Like
And the fucking trinitadian fucking I don't know
oh,
the word.
don't even get me started on modes and
Yeah,
yeah,
those. That's what those are. Those fucking things. It's
yeah,
it's almost like the zodiac in a way. It's fucking. There's this whole like crazy circle, and then there's these little things inside of them, and then there's 35 other things behind that, and I'm like, fuck, I just want to make music, man.
Yeah, but that's the cool part about music is that you can, and you
Yeah.
don't have to know any of that stuff, and you can make sound, and it can be
Hack
cool.
away. Or learning hacking. That's what I did. I used to just like hack away to fucking songs when I was a little kid. Mom
Yeah.
got me an acoustic guitar. I'm surprised that thing wasn't bashed over the wall in like 2 weeks because I would literally just sit there just fucking like stained and Chevelle and shit when I was
Oh
like
yeah.
8. Horrible.
Yeah.
I would it was bad times. I don't know how she dealt with me.
At least it wasn't like my home. Like my parents got me an electric guitar and a small amp, and the first songs that I was learning were Cannibal Corpse, Hammer Smash Face. Yeah. Oh yeah.
God
That's
damn.
how I started learning. Because I had a couple friends who were like specifically only into death metal, like not like cool death metal, like the old death metal.
Yeah.
And that's what I started learning instrument and music stuff with was that learning Cannibal Corpse guitar riffs.
I mean, that's not the worst place. I mean, that's the one thing about death metal is it's very fucking technical. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, that's the cool part. The downside is that it's death metal. Um, so yeah, I mean, overall, hopefully, you know, as we said with the DMCA, everything will work out, and I think that did I lose you audio wise?
Oh
Oh
no,
no, there you are. You weren't talking.
okay, cool.
It was like got
Cool.
really quiet for no. I was like, there's no sound coming through now. So what do you have coming up? What are you working on? You said you're gonna get a stream going. Is that that's the plan for
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I kind of tested out a little bit a few months ago. Just kind of seeing if people even really cared to see my face on a screen, you know. But a big part of doing this job, especially now moving forward with music, is like people getting to know you, and like
Yeah.
a big part of why Andrew realizes, you know, his success and he realizes why is that, you know, early on his face was out there. He was a name, a character, you know. People got to know him on screen, and you know, that helped, accompanied with all of the talent and you know, the credential that came with it.
Wait, got to know. What do you mean know him on screen?
Where so early on in Andrew's career, Day to Remember, they did the like studio update video type series things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and like if anybody, I'm sure a lot of people remember, like people would call him the Big Boss forever.
Yeah.
Um, that was like his character in those like little series, and even if it was it was like an exaggerated version of himself or like a totally different version of himself, it was still like it was the first like time on that level in like the Warp Tour scene that a producer was like out there in your face, like, oh, that's the producer, that's the guy that
Yeah.
records. You know, he's like the sixth man in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, yo, you know, Andrew Way, that's awesome. So like he'll always have that. He'll always have people are like referencing those videos from like 2009 and 10.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that he even kind of passed off to me was like, hey, you know, try and put yourself out there a little bit. You know, get
For
out
sure.
there, people want to see what you have to say and what you have to offer. So
Very
that's
much
kind of
so.
what I was. Yeah, I was like teasing that a little bit, just to see like what if first of all just to get the stuff working, like because I'd
Yeah.
never done it before. So once I kind of figured that out, I started streaming some like mix sessions. I did a couple in studio sessions when a band was here. We would just have the stream on basically all day, and that was actually really cool
Yeah.
because then people were like, yo, who's this band, this is really cool, you know, getting to see the process, getting to see how I do it in pre-production, which is like a mystery to a lot of people. When they hear that phrase, they're like, I don't know what to expect. And like we talked about earlier, you know, you were like, I don't know what to expect when we came in, and so
Yeah.
maybe that can help people understand what to expect, you know.
That'll make your guys' job as well as their. It'll make their songs better. It'll make your job easier. You know, I mean, definitely. Uh, yeah, that's cool. It's a good idea for sure. I think doing the streaming thing, it one thing that I went into it kind of with the mindset of like, oh yeah, you know, the people will follow over from like the band and doing that stuff. That's not how it goes. For
Mm.
me at least, for the music. I don't know. You know, maybe I think there's a difference though because you're streaming something that not everybody does. You know, like this is a very elite group that of people. Like you know, you're working with the best of the best at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So I think people would be more interested to see it. If you were doing it like as a band moving over, like as like a musician, I would be like, fucking run. It's so fucking
Yeah,
weird, bro. It,
yeah,
music's a universal language. Me yelling at a 12-year-old is not universal.
yeah. Well, kind of.
Uh, I fucking man, it's been hard. It's very different. I didn't expect how difficult it would be to grow this.
Hmm.
And I haven't really grown it too much either. Like it's still small. Like I'm still very like small on it, and that's why I started doing the podcast thing. As I was like, look, I know all these fucking interesting people. I might as well like put it out there and see what people say. So and like
Yeah,
so I yeah you know, and I really appreciate you coming on. I you know I appreciate everybody that has been on and is gonna be on. It's awesome. So
yeah. Yeah, I love like the podcast format. It's like the new like it's like talk radio combined with all the like interview stuff that we like to watch with
yeah,
people who do interesting things. I love it. Yeah.
it definitely it's the new generation for sure. Like talk show hosts will probably go away here soon. You probably see like late night hosts and shit kind of fade out. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they've kind of been doing podcasts for years in that format though. If I think about it now though, it's kind of
Yeah,
just
so maybe the format isn't new, it's just more accessible.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I still haven't figured
Yeah.
out how to upload them to fucking Spotify and stuff yet. I need to figure that out. That is the next move.
Uh yeah.
That and getting this to look a little better. I don't like how it looks on the stream right now, but that's just my judgment, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Got to get
whenever
you
you
that $100 million deal with Spotify, right? That's the goal. That's the benchmark now.
I'll be seeing you guys if that happens. I'll be seeing you guys a lot. I have one more question I wanted to ask you about. Before
Sure.
I gotta get going here pretty soon. Actually, unfortunately,
Okay.
life and stuff. I don't have that $100 million
Yeah.
deal yet.
Yeah.
The so a lot of people the cross um the cross recording concept of recording with like one person and then recording with other people, you know, to get like obviously like a reference. How, from your guys' perspective, how was that taken for you guys?
Um, how is it taken? What
It's
do
all,
you? Sorry.
well, I mean, it's
What
kind
do
of
you mean?
like if you work at like a, say you work at a convenience store and there's a convenience store across the road and they go there instead of coming to you. You know, is
Yeah.
there how I feel like it's very different in music because I mean, you know, the competition's like it's there, but it's not. You know.
Yeah. Okay. It's so from my perspective, like okay, when I started out, I viewed it a lot. I would take things personally. I would take that aspect personally. If somebody worked with somebody else instead of
Mhm.
me, I would put it on me. But as I'm more experienced in the music industry and all this stuff, and meeting other producers and bands and artists and everybody who does this stuff on a very high level, um, it's very rarely a personal thing ever, and it's almost always has to do with the person, like the band, making the decision to work with somebody else. Um, it's it's rarely like oh, we had a terrible experience, so we're leaving and we're gonna go, because more often than not, like they're not gonna work with somebody more than once,
Yeah.
or a band, more than once if they have not a great experience. So I get that side of things. You know what I mean? Um, I will say that I have a lot of returning clients. I'm happy to say that. I'm proud of that. That's one of my biggest things is that I pride myself in, is that if I can get a band, if a band is unsure about working with me,
Hmm.
and if I like say if I'm approaching them, um, if I can just get them in the door and meet me in person and talk to me and give me 30 minutes to interact with you, show you a little bit of what I can do, talk about your vision or whatever, like I feel like I'm like 95% effective.
Yeah. I think I agree with that actually because we were very when we'd first come in. You know, when you go into the audio compound, when you pay to record with Andrew Wade, you know, it was kind of in our minds. It was like, well, we're just gonna work with Andrew the whole time. And
Right.
you were brought up in the discussion, and we weren't. I don't know, I guess we weren't like concerned. I mean, we're worried. Like we spent, you know,
Of
X
course.
amount of money
Yeah.
to record, and we kind of had to get into that mindset where it's like, look, you know, anybody that's gonna work with this guy, there's no way we're gonna pay this money and he's gonna fuck us. Like there's no way that's gonna be
Right.
a thing. So it's something you have to overcome that thought first. Is this is a lot of money? Please don't screw me. Um, but I definitely think that like I'm very happy we worked with you on that EP, and I think it came out just as it came out just as good as it would have any other fucking way, if not better, in my opinion. Having two hands on one project that was, you know, two great minds like yours and Andrew's, it very much brought it more to life.
Yeah.
So that was yeah. I think that's the same thing with all music too. I think that something that should become more common, in my mind at least, is you get a level of producer, right? So like you have like you guys, you have like in my mind JD sits on par with you guys. At least in audio, he just did that new Motionless album, and it's fucking spectacular, audio wise. You guys, you can't really. I don't think Joey doesn't really record anymore, does he? He just kind of makes plugins.
Yeah, he's a mogul now. He's a businessman. Yeah.
Ooh. Who else is there nowadays, man? What the guy who was doing everything for Sharp Tone Records? I'm forgetting his name.
Sharp Tone.
Yeah, there was one guy that was recording when Sharp Tone first came around, like 2-3 years ago. Where they got We Came as Romans, Attila, Amir, all those fucking bands. They signed all the big bands at once. And they kind of disappeared. I don't know if they're around anymore, but they had one producer that everybody worked with, and he's still working with bands today. Like, and he does amazing. But there's the point is there's like these certain there's a level of producers that are like up there, and I think all bands should like go to all of them, if that makes sense. Like I think everybody should, yeah.
Yeah, a good example I think is that people can kind of hear. There's actually two examples that I can think of where that kind of hit closer to home. The band Wage War.
Yeah.
Wage War. They did their first two albums with Andrew and Jeremy here, and they're great records. And then they did their third record with Drew Folk.
That's also the guy. That's the guy.
Drew Folk. Okay, Drew Folk. Yeah. Great producer, great guy. He's actually come and worked here for a short time, but he was here where I got to meet him, and he's really good too. And that album has some incredible songs. I think some of the best Wage War songs are on that record.
Yeah.
You know, so you can kind of hear the differences. So if you can hear the influence, you know, and the vision that was expressed through both records. And another really, really good example is A Day to Remember. A Day to Remember, for their last two records, didn't fully work with Andrew, as opposed to the records before Bad Vibrations. They did things a very specific way with Andrew, and some other people were involved. But more recently, they had been kind of, you know, branching out, I think is probably the right term.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it kind of sucks because I think you know, the standard listener, unfortunately, gets a different you know, the albums we're talking about, like Bad Vibrations and the new Wage War album. Most standard listeners, that's not their favorite album, but that's because their ear was trained by the first 3 albums or the first 2 albums. You know, like they were taught what they were to expect. So there's a lack of appreciation for the change on these albums for sure, and the growth that's shown.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll be the first one to say I personally like the records that were done here a little bit better, but whatever. I might be a little biased.
I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody has those in our hearts, especially like with The Day to Remember. Like nobody, Homesick is, and for all those who have heart, like those albums are always going to be priceless because they were, you know, those are fucking pinnacles in my mind.
Yeah.
But bands have to fucking grow, and that's something that people fail to see. But you have to let them grow too. I think a good example of that is
Yes.
Bring Me the Horizon.
Perfect example.
From Sempiternal was a huge step in a crazy direction that no one's ever gone, and it was an amazing album. That in my mind was through the last couple cycles was their best fucking piece of work. It's beautiful. It's crazy. It has all these synth stuff in it. It dramatic. The hooks are insane, and like it's just such a great piece. But after that, they kind of dropped a little bit in my mind. They went through the Doom, I think it was, album, and there was another album. Was there another album after that? I think it was Ammo.
Yeah, Ammo. Yeah, yeah.
So Ammo, I kind of caught back up with them, and I was like, this album's really good. It's really catchy. It's very poppy and different.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if they combine all these sounds, we're gonna have an amazing, like, crazy band. Like, this is gonna be absolutely insane. This recent EP they released, I love it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so many, like, you have like this Linkin Park meets like this crazy like fucking like metal band meets it all just clashes together. They even they put fucking what's their names, the those Japanese girls, the singers.
Baby Metal.
Yeah, baby. They put Baby Metal on Evanescence on the same
Yeah.
album. Like, who the fuck's that? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, you have to let these bands grow past what they were and let them explode into like their next form, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I fully agree. It's like, as a producer, it's weird for me to say this, but like that aspect has to trump every other thing that I do. Like, I have to let a band or an artist that I really care about or work with, not just pay me money to work with me, but if I really want to see them be successful, sometimes that at the end of the day, it might not even involve me.
yeah. That's that's a very selfless and awesome way to look at it too. I don't think there are a lot of people. I think there are a lot of producers that don't really understand that. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, we want to get paid.
Exactly. Everyone wants to get paid, but if you care about the art and you care about the music, you definitely, yeah. I love that you said that. That's great. So, all right, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, brother.
Yeah, man, it's been great. This has been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. When you start streaming and stuff, let me know. I'll throw you a link up. We'll get you around and whatnot. So, I hope you have a great day, man. I will probably contact you sometime soon because I probably want to come work on a song with you. So I think I'm going to start spreading out myself a little bit more as well. So see what happens.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah, of course.
All right, brother. You take it easy, man.
All right. Later, man.
Oh, thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate you. I'm going to have to end it there. I cannot stream today. I got work. But thank you for checking out the podcast. Later.